Seneca knew what women notice first. Most men miss this. The first thing women notice isn't what most men think. Most men spend years improving their clothes, their body, their haircut, their career, believing women notice those things first. So they work harder, earn more, train longer, dress better, hoping that one more improvement will finally make the difference. Yet something curious keeps happening. A man with ordinary looks quietly walks into the room. And somehow, people naturally gravitate toward him. Nobody can fully explain why. He isn't trying to entertain anyone. He isn't dominating the conversation. He isn't performing. Still, the atmosphere changes the moment he arrives. Most men assume attraction begins with what people see. Seneca believed it begins with what people feel. The first thing people notice cannot be bought. It cannot be worn. It cannot be borrowed from status. And it certainly cannot be manufactured overnight, before you say a single word, before you introduce yourself, before anyone learns your name. Something about you has already begun speaking. Not your appearance, not your success, not your reputation. Something much quieter. Imagine walking into two identical rooms. In the first, someone smiles constantly, speaks confidently, tells impressive stories. Yet after a few moments, you feel strangely uneasy. Nothing obvious is wrong, but your mind quietly tells you something doesn't feel authentic. Now imagine another room. A man says very little. He isn't trying to impress anyone. He listens carefully. His movements are unhurried. His attention never feels scattered. Without understanding why, you immediately feel more relaxed, safer, more present. What changed? Not the conversation, not the clothes, not the environment. The difference existed long before either man opened his mouth. Most people spend their entire lives studying communication. Very few ever study the invisible state that exists before communication begins. The Stoics believed that invisible state shapes almost every human interaction. Seneca spent his life observing something remarkable about human nature. People believe they judge others with reason. In reality, their first judgment is almost always emotional. Long before the conscious mind begins analyzing, something deeper has already reached a conclusion. That is why some people instantly create ease, while others quietly create tension. Not because one person is pretending better than another, but because one carries something the other does not. Modern life teaches us to improve what people can see. The Stoics focused on improving what people could feel. That difference changes everything, because appearances can deceive for a few minutes. Words can persuade for a few conversations, but your inner condition quietly reveals itself through hundreds of tiny signals you never realize you're sending. Your breathing, your pace, your attention, your reactions, your silence, even the way you occupy a moment without speaking. None of these can be completely hidden. That is why Seneca never began with appearance. He began with character. Because character shapes the mind shapes the emotions, and emotions quietly shape every interaction before logic has the opportunity to speak. This raises a fascinating question. If women are not first noticing your appearance, then what exactly are they sensing before either of you has exchanged a single sentence? The answer begins somewhere most men never think to look: inside the nervous system itself. Your nervous system speaks before you do. Most people believe body language begins with posture. The Stoics would have smiled at that idea. Body language begins much earlier. It begins before your shoulders move, before your hands gesture, before your face forms an expression. It begins inside the nervous system. Everything the body communicates is first created by the mind. A restless mind creates restless movements. An anxious mind creates hurried speech. A fearful mind creates tension that quietly spreads through every part of the body. Most men never notice this because they focus on what other people can see. They practice eye contact. They rehearse conversations. They imitate confident body language. Yet something always feels incomplete because the body cannot permanently hide what the mind continually experiences. Imagine placing a calm lake beside another filled with constant waves. Neither one needs to explain its condition. One immediately communicates stillness. The other immediately communicates disturbance. Human beings work the same way. Before anyone understands your personality, they instinctively respond to your emotional regulation. That process happens astonishingly fast. Before a single sentence has been analyzed, the brain has already begun asking silent questions. Is this person emotionally steady? Do they feel safe? Are they comfortable with themselves? Or are they searching for something from me? These questions are rarely conscious. Almost nobody thinks them in words. Yet almost everyone feels their answers. That is why two men can say exactly the same sentence and create completely different impressions. One feels grounded, the other feels uncertain. Not because their vocabulary is different, because the emotional state behind the words is different. The Stoics understood that people do not simply hear language, they experience nervous systems interacting with one another. Think about the moments when you instantly felt comfortable around someone you had just met. Perhaps they had said almost nothing. Yet you somehow relaxed. Your breathing slowed. The conversation became effortless. You felt no pressure to perform. Now think about the opposite experience. Someone who smiled constantly, talked without stopping, tried very hard to appear confident. Nothing seemed obviously wrong, yet something quietly exhausted you. The difference was never the conversation itself. It was emotional regulation. One nervous system was searching for stability, the other had already found it. Most men spend years learning how to influence other people. The Stoics began somewhere much wiser. Learn to govern yourself first. Because emotional regulation cannot be borrowed from techniques, it grows through daily discipline. Every moment you resist unnecessary anger. Every time you remain patient under pressure. Every time you refuse to panic when life becomes uncertain. You are training something far deeper than your personality. You are reshaping the emotional atmosphere you naturally carry into every room. People may never understand why they feel different around you. They may never be able to explain it, but they will notice it. Long before they notice your appearance. Long before they remember your words. Long before they decide whether they like you. And that leads to another remarkable discovery. There is one emotional state that human beings recognize almost immediately. Because unlike appearance, it cannot be convincingly performed for very long. Calm is instantly recognizable. There is something remarkable about genuine calm. It announces itself without making a sound. It doesn't ask to be noticed. It doesn't try to appear impressive. Yet people feel it almost immediately. Most men believe calm is a performance. They lower their voice, slow their movements, force themselves to smile, pretend nothing affects them. For a few minutes, it may even look convincing. But sooner or later, reality always asks a difficult question. Who are you when something unexpected happens? A delayed message, an uncomfortable silence, a disagreement, a mistake, a moment of rejection. This is where performance quietly ends and character begins. Imagine two bridges crossing the same river. Both appear equally strong on a sunny afternoon. Then the storm arrives. One remains steady. The other begins to shake. The storm did not create weakness. It revealed what had always been there. Human beings work exactly the same way. Pressure does not create emotional instability, it exposes it. That is why genuine calm cannot be copied. It is the visible result of invisible discipline. Seneca understood this long before modern psychology. In Seneca's Letters from a Stoic, paragraph 5, he reminds us that peace is never created by controlling the world around us. It is created by governing the mind within us. A person who depends on external events for emotional stability will always become their prisoner. A person who governs himself carries that stability wherever he goes. That lesson changes every relationship. Because people are not simply observing your reactions. They are quietly asking themselves a deeper question. What happens to this man when life refuses to cooperate? Does he become impatient, defensive, anxious? Does he immediately seek reassurance? Or does he remain composed without pretending nothing happened? That answer is impossible to fake for very long. Think about the people who naturally make others feel comfortable. Very often, they are not the funniest. They are not the most charismatic. They are not even the most talkative. What makes them different is far more subtle. Nothing about them feels rushed. Their attention is complete. Their emotions seem anchored instead of scattered. When they listen, they truly listen. When they speak, their words never seem to compete for approval. There is no hidden urgency beneath the conversation. That quiet steadiness becomes contagious. Others begin slowing down without realizing it. The conversation becomes easier. Silence no longer feels uncomfortable. People stop performing because they no longer feel they have to. This is why the Stoics invested so much energy in mastering the inner world. Not because calm made them appear stronger, because calm was evidence that they had already become stronger. And once a man develops that kind of stability, another transformation quietly begins. He stops searching for something that many people unknowingly reveal every single day: their desperate need to be accepted. Neediness is loud, even when you say nothing. Most men believe neediness begins with desperate messages, constant texting, begging someone to stay, asking for attention. The Stoics saw something much deeper. Neediness begins long before words. It begins the moment your emotional balance depends on another person's response. Imagine carrying a glass filled to the very edge. Every small movement threatens to spill it. Every unexpected step demands immediate correction. Now imagine carrying the same glass only halfway full. You move naturally. You don't panic. You don't overreact. The difference isn't the road, it's what you're carrying inside. Many men walk into conversations emotionally overflowing. One delayed reply changes their mood. One brief silence creates anxiety. One distracted glance becomes a personal rejection. Without realizing it, they begin trying to repair emotions that were never damaged. They explain too much. They laugh a little louder. They agree a little faster. They compliment a little more often. They rush to remove every moment of uncertainty. None of these behaviors seems dramatic on its own. Together, they reveal something powerful, a quiet fear of not being enough. People rarely detect neediness because of what someone says. They detect it because of the emotional pressure behind every interaction. Think about the difference between a person offering a gift and someone desperately hoping the gift will be accepted. The object is identical. The emotional experience is completely different. One feels free. The other feels heavy. The Stoics believed emotional freedom is impossible when your peace depends upon another person's approval. That dependence quietly leaks into everything you do, into your voice, into your timing, into your attention, into the speed of your replies, into your inability to leave silence untouched. Neediness always tries to fill empty space. It fears pauses. It fears uncertainty. It fears being misunderstood. Most men think they are hiding these fears. The nervous system reveals them anyway. Seneca understood that a man who cannot remain peaceful without reassurance will unknowingly search for reassurance everywhere he goes. Not because he lacks intelligence, because he has not yet learned to become emotionally sufficient. That is why approval seeking often becomes invisible. It disguises itself as politeness, as generosity, as enthusiasm, as constant agreement. Yet beneath every action, one question quietly repeats itself. Do you still accept me? The Stoic asks a different question. Am I remaining faithful to myself? Those two questions create two completely different lives. One gives away emotional authority, the other quietly protects it. Ironically, the less a man needs immediate acceptance, the more natural every conversation becomes. Because he is no longer trying to earn the moment. He is simply living inside it, and that emotional independence creates something extraordinary. Without chasing approval, without performing, without pretending, he begins transforming every interaction before a single impressive word is spoken. Emotional independence changes every interaction. There is a quiet shift that happens when a man no longer needs to be liked. His conversations become lighter, his decisions become clearer, his attention becomes more generous. Not because he is trying harder, because he has stopped carrying the invisible weight of approval. Most people enter every interaction with a hidden objective. How do I make them like me? How do I avoid saying the wrong thing? How do I keep this person interested? Those questions seem harmless, yet they quietly transform every conversation into a performance. The Stoic begins somewhere entirely different. He asks, "Can I remain truthful?" That single question changes everything. Imagine two musicians playing the same piece. One constantly looks toward the audience, searching for applause, wondering if every note is good enough. The other closes his eyes and becomes fully absorbed in the music itself. Both are technically performing. Only one is completely free. Human relationships work exactly the same way. The more attention you give to managing another person's opinion, the less attention remains for genuine connection. That is why emotional independence creates such a powerful impression. People immediately feel that they are not being manipulated, not being chased, not being convinced. They are simply being met by someone who has nothing to prove. Seneca believed freedom begins the moment your peace no longer depends upon outcomes you cannot control. That includes another person's approval, another person's attraction, another person's acceptance. You cannot govern another mind. You can only govern your own. Most men believe attraction grows from saying the perfect thing. The Stoics believed it grows from becoming the kind of man who no longer needs perfect outcomes. There is extraordinary calm in that way of living. You stop forcing conversations. You stop fearing silence. You stop interpreting every delay as rejection. You stop editing your personality to match every room you enter. Instead, you remain consistent. Not because you are stubborn, because your character is no longer changing according to the reactions around you. Paradoxically, that is when people begin trusting you. Not because you are trying to earn trust, because consistency makes trust possible. Think about the people who have influenced your life the most. Very rarely were they the ones trying to impress everyone. They knew who they were. Their words matched their actions. Their emotions remained steady when circumstances changed. They did not become different people depending on who stood in front of them. That quiet consistency creates something performance never can: emotional safety. And emotional safety is one of the rarest experiences a human being can offer another. The Stoics understood that attraction is never sustained by excitement alone. Excitement fades. Novelty disappears. What remains is how another person consistently made you feel. That realization leads to another surprising truth. People rarely remember those who impressed them the most. They remember those who allowed them to feel completely at ease simply by being themselves. Comfort creates more attraction than performance. Most men believe attraction is created through impressive moments. The perfect joke, the perfect story, the perfect answer, the perfect date. The Stoics believed something entirely different. People rarely remember the moments when you entertained them. They remember the moments when they felt completely comfortable being themselves. Think about the people you genuinely enjoy spending time with. Very few are constantly trying to impress you. They don't compete for attention. They don't dominate every conversation. They don't rush to prove how interesting they are. Instead, something unusual happens around them. You stop performing. You stop choosing every word so carefully. You stop wondering whether you're saying the right thing. You simply relax. That feeling is far more powerful than excitement. Imagine sitting beside a warm fire on a cold evening. The fire never asks to be admired. It never competes with the stars. It simply creates an environment where people naturally want to remain. Character works the same way. The Stoics understood that emotional comfort is not created through techniques. It is created through inner stability. A restless man often creates restless conversations. He interrupts. He rushes. He changes subjects too quickly. He becomes uncomfortable with silence. Without realizing it, he asks everyone around him to carry the emotional weight he cannot carry himself. A peaceful man creates the opposite experience. He gives conversations room to breathe. He listens without preparing his next sentence. He isn't searching for the perfect response. He is searching for genuine understanding. That difference changes everything, because people instinctively feel when they are being heard. And they also feel when they are simply being managed. Seneca believed the wise man does not hurry through life because he has nothing to prove. His attention remains where his feet already are. That same discipline transforms every human interaction. When you stop trying to manufacture attraction, you become fully available to the present moment. Ironically, that is when genuine connection begins. Most men remember conversations by what they said. Women often remember them by how they felt during them. Did they feel judged? Did they feel rushed? Did they feel pressure to impress? Or did they experience something increasingly rare in the modern world? A person who was completely present. No hidden agenda, no performance, no emotional demand, just quiet attention. The Stoics knew that attention is one of the purest forms of respect, and respect creates comfort. Comfort creates trust. Trust creates connection. None of that requires extraordinary charisma. It requires extraordinary self-government. Because the most attractive atmosphere a man can create is one where another person never feels they have to become someone else. And when someone repeatedly experiences that kind of peace around you, they begin noticing something even deeper than your calm. They begin sensing the quality of the character that created it. Character is felt faster than it is understood. There is something remarkable about character. People experience it long before they can describe it. Ask someone why they instantly trusted one person, but felt uncertain around another. Most cannot explain it. They hesitate. They search for words. They simply say, "I don't know." There was just something about him. The Stoics believed that something was never accidental. It was character quietly expressing itself through ordinary moments. Imagine entering a forest before sunrise. You cannot yet see every tree. You cannot distinguish every detail. Yet immediately, you recognize the atmosphere, the stillness, the balance, the quiet order. Only later do your eyes begin identifying individual shapes. Human beings work in the same way. Before people understand your personality, they experience your emotional climate. Before they admire your discipline, they feel your patience. Before they recognize your integrity, they notice your consistency. Long before admiration becomes conscious, character has already begun speaking. Most men try to explain who they are. The Stoics focused on becoming who they were, because explanation is always weaker than experience. Think about someone who constantly tells others, "I'm honest, I'm confident, I'm trustworthy." The more those words are repeated, the less convincing they become. Now imagine another man. He never announces his values. He simply lives them. He arrives when he says he will. He remains calm when others panic. He listens without interrupting. He speaks without exaggeration. He keeps his promises when no one is watching. He treats strangers with the same respect he offers friends. Eventually, people stop asking who he is. His actions have already answered the question. Seneca understood this deeply. A person's life is always speaking louder than their words. That is why the Stoics never tried to manufacture an image. Images demand maintenance. Character quietly maintains itself. Integrity creates patience. Patience creates steadiness. Steadiness creates trust. And trust rarely begins with logic. It begins with repeated emotional experience. Imagine standing beside an old lighthouse during a violent storm. The lighthouse never shouts. It never asks passing ships to believe in it. It simply remains exactly where it has always been. Night after night, storm after storm, its reliability becomes its message. Character works exactly the same way. Consistency slowly becomes credibility. Credibility becomes trust. Trust becomes influence. Not because anyone planned it, because human beings naturally move toward what feels stable. This is why the first impression that truly lasts has very little to do with appearance. Appearance captures attention. Character quietly earns permission to remain in someone's memory. People may initially notice your face, your clothes, your voice, but what continues living in their mind is something much harder to define. How peaceful they felt around you, how respected they felt, how safe they felt to be themselves. The Stoics believed those experiences are never created by technique. They are created by the person you become when no one is watching. And once a man understands that, he stops asking what other people notice first. He begins asking a far more important question. What kind of atmosphere follows me wherever I go? Become the man who makes peace. Feel familiar. Most men spend years asking the wrong question. What do women notice first? It sounds reasonable. It sounds practical. It even sounds wise. Yet it quietly keeps your attention focused on someone else's judgment. The Stoics believed there is a far better question. What atmosphere do I create wherever I go? That single question changes the direction of an entire life. Imagine entering a room where everyone is speaking louder than necessary. People interrupt each other. They rush to be heard. Every conversation feels like a competition. Then one person arrives. He doesn't demand attention. He doesn't try to control the room. He simply remains calm. Little by little, the pace begins to slow. People stop talking over one another. The conversation becomes easier. No one announces that anything has changed, yet everyone feels it. That is the quiet influence of inner peace. The Stoics understood that human beings constantly shape the emotional climate around them. Some carry anxiety into every room. Others carry impatience. Others carry resentment. Without realizing it, they invite everyone else to experience the same emotions. But a disciplined man carries something different. His steadiness becomes permission for others to become steady. His patience creates patience. His attention creates presence. His self-control creates trust. None of this requires extraordinary charm. It requires extraordinary self-mastery. Seneca believed that the quality of your inner life eventually becomes visible through every ordinary moment. Not because you decide to reveal it, because it quietly escapes through everything you do. The way you listen, the way you wait, the way you respond when plans suddenly change, the way you treat someone who cannot offer you anything in return, the way you remain composed when life refuses to follow your expectations. These moments seem insignificant. Together, they become your character. And character creates an atmosphere no performance can imitate. Think about the people whose presence has stayed with you for years. Perhaps you no longer remember every conversation. Perhaps you have forgotten many of their words, but you still remember how you felt around them. Calmer, safer, more accepted, more yourself. That memory is rarely created by intelligence, or appearance, or status. It is created by emotional consistency. The Stoics never tried to become unforgettable. They simply refused to become strangers to themselves. Ironically, that made them unforgettable. So stop asking, what do women notice? Ask something far more important. When people leave my presence, do they carry more tension or more peace? Because that answer reveals far more about your character than any compliment ever could. And once a man begins creating peace instead of pursuing approval, he no longer worries about making the right impression. He quietly becomes the kind of man whose impression is impossible to forget. Tomorrow, you will meet new people. Some will notice your clothes. Some will notice your voice. Some will notice your appearance. But Seneca believed the people who truly matter will notice something much deeper, whether your presence creates tension or peace. Think back to everything you have discovered today. You learned that your nervous system begins speaking before your words ever do. You discovered that genuine calm cannot be performed for very long. You saw that neediness quietly reveals itself even in silence. You understood why emotional independence transforms every interaction. You learned that comfort creates deeper connection than performance ever can. And you discovered that character is felt long before it is fully understood. Every lesson points toward the same truth. The first thing people notice about you is rarely something they can see. It is something they experience. Seneca understood this nearly 2,000 years ago. In Seneca's Letters from a Stoic, paragraph 5, he reminds us that the wise person does not search for stability in circumstances beyond his control. He builds it within himself, because when peace depends upon external approval, it disappears the moment approval does. But when peace is rooted in character, it remains wherever life takes you. That is why the Stoics never chased appearances. They cultivated discipline. They cultivated patience. They cultivated self-command. Not because they wanted admiration, because they understood that every invisible victory inside the mind eventually becomes visible to everyone around them. Most men spend years asking, how can I make a better first impression? The Stoics asked a far more important question. Who am I becoming when no one is watching? Everything else follows from that answer. Your breathing changes. Your attention changes. Your reactions change. Your relationships change, not because you learned a new technique, but because you became a different man. Imagine a mountain standing through every season. The weather changes constantly. Rain arrives. Snow falls. Strong winds strike its surface. Yet the mountain never negotiates with the storm. Its strength does not come from controlling the weather. It comes from remaining firmly rooted. Character works exactly the same way. Life will continue bringing uncertainty, rejection, success, failure, praise, criticism. The Stoics never promised those things would disappear. They promised that a disciplined mind could remain steady through all of them. Ironically, that quiet steadiness becomes the very thing people notice first. Not because you ask them to notice it, because authenticity is impossible to hide, and peace is impossible to imitate. If this lesson helped you understand attraction through the timeless wisdom of Seneca and Stoicism, subscribe to the Discipline Code. Every week, we explore practical Stoic philosophy to help you build self-discipline, emotional resilience, authentic confidence, stronger relationships, and the kind of character that quietly earns respect wherever you go. Until next time, do not spend your life trying to become more impressive, become more peaceful, because appearance captures attention. Performance creates curiosity, but character creates trust, and trust will always be noticed before it is ever understood.